Hello, Chem 1. At this point in Unit 9, we've balanced chemical equations and we've had a flyover view of the different types. Now we're going to get more in depth in terms of the different types of chemical equations, starting off with single replacement reactions. Let's get started. You know that a single replacement reaction is when we have an element by itself and a compound reacting. And that element is attempting to bond with one of the things in the compound. So if we look at the model down here at the bottom, in this case, the element A is attempting to replace element B that's bonded to C, leaving B by itself and a new compound of AC. All single replacement reactions are considered redox, and that's because the elements by themselves would have a charge of 0, and then in a bond, depending on if they're the cation or anion, their charge is going to be going up or down, meaning someone is oxidized and someone is reduced. With single replacement reactions, there's a couple different types that you need to be aware of. The most common type is when a metal, by itself, an element, replaces the metal cation in a compound. In order for this to happen, the metal element, the metal by itself, has to be more reactive than the metal that's already bonded. We can find this out by looking at the metal reactivity series. If you look at your reference sheets, you will see this chart, which is the activity series of elements, both metals and nonmetals. We'll get to nonmetals. For right now, though, what you need to understand is that the top of this list is most reactive. So lithium is the most reactive metal on this list, and then gold would be the least reactive metal on this list. Notice things down here at the bottom, platinum, silver, mercury, copper. Those are things typically that we see in jewelry and infrastructure because they're not very reactive. And the things up at the top are alkali and alkaline earth metals that are very reactive. So the way this works is you write out the reactants, decide if it's going to react, and then predict products. In this case, we have aluminum metal, so we'd write Al, and since it's metal, we know it's solid. And a solution of cobalt-2 chloride. So cobalt's a +2, chloride's a -1. So we have CoCl2, and it's in a solution, so that's aqueous. So the question becomes, will aluminum replace cobalt? In other words, is aluminum more reactive than the cobalt that's already bonded? Cobalt is actually not on your list, but aluminum is more reactive than cobalt. What that means is cobalt will be by itself as a solid, and aluminum, which is a +3, will combine with the chlorine. For the purposes of this video, I'm not going to balance this equation, but you can see that it does need balance. This is a metal replacing a metal. The next type would be if a metal replaces hydrogen in an acid. Remember, hydrogen is always the cation within an acid. This still requires the metal to be more reactive than hydrogen. So in this case, we have nickel metal, which is a solid, plus sulfuric acid. Sulfuric acid, the anion would be sulfate, which has a -2 charge, and therefore we need 2 hydrogens. So H2SO4. And all acids are aqueous. So if we look at our chart, we can see that nickel is more reactive than hydrogen. So this reaction will go forward. So the hydrogen will be by itself, but hydrogen is Brinkelhoff, so we know that it'll be by itself here, and hydrogen's a gas, plus nickel, and since nickel is a +2, we know that this will be NiSO4, and that will be aqueous, still dissolved in water. And in this case, it's actually already balanced. Notice how it says this will produce hydrogen gas bubbles. It's because we're producing hydrogen gas. The next type would be metal replacing the hydrogen in water. This only happens with very reactive metals. Alkali and alkaline earth metals are the only metals that do this. We do not reference the activity series for this. If it's an alkali metal, if it's an alkaline earth metal, the reaction will go forward. In this case, the metal only replaces one of the hydrogens, and what that does is produces a hydroxide instead of just an oxide. We have rubidium metal, which is a solid, plus water. And since water is a liquid, we would put L. So the product here, rubidium is going to replace one of the hydrogens, and it's going to leave an OH. And since OH is a -1, and rubidium is a +1, this would be RbOH, And then it would be left with one hydrogen, but hydrogen's diatomic, so that has to be a gas. So at this point, we would definitely have to balance out our oxygens and hydrogens on each side. Remember, metals will only replace hydrogen if they're alkali or alkaline earth metals. The last one here is when a nonmetal replaces another nonmetal. This only happens with halogens because they're reactive enough to do this. It's similar to metal replacing metal, but the only difference is we're replacing the anion now. So in our example down here, we have fluorine gas. Remember, fluorine is Brinkelhoff. So this would be F2, plus a solution of sodium, Na, which is a +1, and bromine is a -1, NaBr. And that's a solution, so that's aqueous. Fluorine is an anion. The question is it more reactive than bromine? If we go back to our chart, you see we only have a few nonmetals here, our halogens, and fluorine is the most reactive. So it will replace the bromine that's bonded together. So in this case, fluorine replaces bromine. Bromine's by itself, and it's diatomic. Bromine by itself is a liquid, one of the few. And then we'd have Na bonding with a fluorine. And it'd still be an aqueous solution. Once again, there would be some balancing that needs to take place here. But remember, if you have a nonmetal by itself, it's going to replace the other nonmetal. Those are the 4 types of single replacement reactions that you need to be aware of, be able to identify, and be able to predict products for. Do your best to go through the sample problems. Ask me questions if you got them. Keep up the good work. We will see you soon.